passion for the game they love. Today is going to be an awesome day. Thank you for everyone that's coming in each and every week to listen, execute, and dominate. I really think you're going to enjoy this episode 35. Don't skip this one. You don't want to miss this one. This is going to be very, very good. As I stated before, this is going to be an awesome and powerful episode. Today's episode, we have a guest that is selected 16 overall, 16 round, I apologize, 16 round, 495 overall in the 2012 Major League Baseball draft by the San Diego Padres. He also played for University of Central Florida baseball program not far, and also he runs a program called R2Cares.org, and we will get into that later. He's also the current coach for the bench coach for the Montgomery Biscuits Double A team for the Tampa Bay Rays, and also working for the Tampa Bay organization. I want to say welcome, Ronnie Richardson. How you doing, Ronnie?
Doing pretty good, man. First off, just appreciate you bringing me on. I love when people are spreading positivity and giving back to our community through education and growth and just awareness, right?
Yes.
So I think that's why I didn't hesitate to jump on the call.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. Because sometimes it's hard to get people to get on, because plus more, you coach baseball. I coach high school baseball, and it's a certain time of the year you can't catch them.
Yep,
You can't
yep,
catch them at a certain time, so you better get it while you can. So,
yeah, for sure.
but I want to say thank you again as well. Also, let's just start. Let's go with the beginning, Genesis. Let's talk about the beginning. Let's talk about the high school stage, because you're in Florida. I'm in Florida as well. What was that like coming? I don't know what you went to, a 2A school, 3A school. I don't know what kind of school you went to, but let's go back to the beginning. Let's start little Ronnie playing baseball. And
Wow,
why baseball anyway?
wow. Okay, going back. So basically, my story was a little different, right? Because like I did end up going to a private school by the name of All Saints Academy for seventh and eighth grade only. My parents realized I had a special talent. So the area that I grew up in, Polk County, you had McCutcheon, you had Jordan Schaefer, Will Cherry. You had a lot of those guys that were already on the market as far as like the scouts were out looking for them.
Okay.
So when I transferred to All Saints from a public charter school, the whole reason was to play sports in high school in seventh grade.
Oh, seventh
Right?
grade. Seventh grade.
Yes. Yeah, I started my varsity baseball career in seventh grade. So yeah. And I I would like to say I was pretty good, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I did play multiple sports. I played basketball, football, and baseball. Um, for baseball, to be honest, I chose it because that's what I don't want to get hit again.
In
Right?
football.
I I tell people I was a better football player than I was baseball, but as my career started to transform
Right.
on the travel ball circuit, I played for the Chet Lemon Juice, then went over to FTB, Florida Travel Baseball. I was able to play for Team USA.
Okay.
You know, we went over to Venezuela, won a championship. But as I was going through my high school days, playing basketball, I did it because of the girls, to be honest. Our school was known for basketball, so I was
Okay.
like, man, let me do it. We had a teammate of mine called named Marcus Capers, and I played a little travel AAU basketball with him. When
Okay.
we got to high school, I transferred from the private school after my eighth grade year and went to Lake Region High School in Eagle Lake.
Okay.
So I got there with Marcus, and he was like, "Bro, I need somebody to run one for me." And I was like, "Man, that's where all the people are going because we didn't have a lot of people coming to our games." So
Right.
I just played basketball just to do it. I thought I was pretty good. We played some of your guys from down there, Miami Senior Pace,
Oh
with Ray
Lord.
Shipman, Ray, the little Ray that was really good. I went up against them boys. We stood toe to toe with them, but one thing I realized is I'm 5'7", dog. I'm not
Right.
going to the NBA. I'm not Muggsy Bogues, right?
Right.
Football wise, I was pretty good at that play. I never left the field. I wasn't no
Mm.
Travis Hunter or anything, but I
Right.
was.
Right.
I like to say I was pretty good receiver, running back. I was fast. I ran a 4.3, um, hitting people all the time. Like I was a contact running back, but on the opposite side, when I was playing defense corner, if I'm making all these tackles, that mean our linebackers not doing what they're supposed to do,
Right.
and
Right.
it was a lot of that happening. So
Mm.
I mean, my mom made me stop playing after my junior year because I took a hit,
Ooh.
and that scar right there is a battle wound.
Right, I see it.
I got cut. Everybody thinks I had surgery from baseball. Now it's from football. My
Oh,
arm swelled up. I missed about 2, 3 tournaments. And then some scouts came to my mom's like, he's not gonna get drafted if he keeps playing football, which that is the complete opposite, right? So this is something I encourage people to play multiple sports.
yes,
In
yes,
in the sports world, in the scouting world, we
right,
want the athlete,
right,
right? And
correct,
every game teaches you something, a different
different,
skill that is going to help essentially benefit baseball,
correct. I'm
right?
with
I'm
you.
5'7", but I would hit anybody. Like, you want to go, let's go. Like, I was not scared. So for me, I knew if I would have continued playing football into the college or pro ball or the NFL, whatever, if I would have got to that level, I would have had to hit these big old dudes, and my body wouldn't sustain that for a year in and year out.
Right.
So I made that decision to give up on it on after my junior, which I actually regretted. I should have played my senior year,
Mm,
but that is something that I take pride in. Like, I did
right.
it, and I had one combine, got 3 stars. Aaron Murray was the quarterback. Vince Richardson was there. Orson Charles. All those dudes was 5'2" players, and then they see me just
Right.
bobbing and weaving, making plays, and these recruiters was like, "Who's this dude?" I was like, "Oh, he's a baseball player." But when they hear a running 4.3, people's eyes light
They
up. So
change. Right.
yeah, but I was. That's why I chose baseball. That's
That's
why I
great,
chose
man.
baseball, man. I knew I was gonna get drafted out of high school. Um, Playing for Team USA was cool. Everybody around me was getting drafted, thanks to McCutcheon and the people in the area that I was playing against.
Hmm.
Because if those scouts wasn't there, they would have never
Right.
seen me.
Never seen you. Right.
So that's why it's very important to play with the best, play against the best, right?
Mm.
Because those guys are out there watching that specific player, but when they see guys, I was in 7th grade when they first started. I started looking at me.
I can't believe it. I mean, I didn't think scouts look. Well, now they do, but seventh grade.
7th grade. I mean, I was small, but I pitched. I
Okay.
ran, right? Like for 60 terms, I was a 6'4", right?
Okay.
Um, Making plays all over the field, and I had no fear. So I
Right.
think that's what caught their attention. And
Right.
one thing about me, man, it was more the hustle, right?
Right.
Um, Getting on and off the field, I used to race everybody. Like, I wanted to be the first one, right? Great team players. Like, I cared about my teammates
That's great,
first and
man.
foremost. If we gonna clear these benches, I got your back. But if you're wrong, I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. But
Right.
we gonna go together because that's just who I was. Like, I'm with
I
my
like that.
guys,
I like
right?
that.
So, but I used to race on and off the field, and I think that's something that they noticed first. Like, man, this dude
Mm.
hustles everywhere. Man, he's the first one on the line of stretch.
Correct. Correct.
I felt like I was doing the little things that kind of helped me get some more attention.
And it's like this. It sounds like you had great leadership because some kids don't have that. You know that, Ronnie. They don't know how to run off the field. They don't know what it takes to get to that next level. They think it's just talent, just talent.
Hmm.
And these are the intangible things, but you got to be taught that the right. I mean, it goes back to leadership. So would you say was a fierce competitor? Would you say
Oh
that?
yeah, oh yeah, 100%. Like, even if my dad, my brother, my sister, it don't matter who was on that other side during that time of competition. I did not like you. Like, so as far as competing, man, that's all I knew how to do. Everybody thinks, oh, he was a small guy, like, like, this dude's just bigger. He's automatically better. Well, give me the biggest guy on the field. Let me show you what I'm gonna do. And that I credit a lot of that stuff to football, and then my
Correct.
uncles, right?
Correct. Correct.
Because my uncles, anytime I used to go to their house, they would get the other guy in the neighborhood's nephew, and he'd be like, "Man, my nephew's better than yours," and I didn't want to disappoint them. So we're in the front yard hitting each other, and I'm not finna get embarrassed by my uncle. So that's what kind of created some of that
Right.
competitive edge. And then with people, you know how people talk. Oh, you're small. You can do this. Well, I will get on the mound and throw 95 at you,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Like, I will get on the football field, and the biggest player on the field, if they're in my vicinity, I'm going to punch them in the mouth off the rip, because now that taps into something different. Not only am I a competitor, but the mental game is strong too. I knew I got to punk you before you punk me,
Correct. Right.
So
Right.
that was just the competitiveness that I
Right.
had.
I like that. I like that. It sounds like a David and Goliath situation
Yeah.
because I'm sitting there thinking I'm 6'3", 200 pounds. So it's different for me. But for someone like you, I would want you to be on my team Because
Yeah.
I'm already pumped already. I'm already ready to take anybody out. Period.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care who you are, how big you are, how many accolades, how many awards you got, who said what. I don't care. Because if you're the
Yep.
best, I'm gonna go against the best because it
Yep.
brings the best out of me.
Yep.
And so, that's why I was going to talk about your dad because I did some research and talked about your dad. You come from a baseball background with your father. And I don't really want to talk about your dad, but I got to bring that up because the people don't know that, and I didn't know that. So I'm like, well, he comes from a baseball pedigree. What did you feel any pressure growing up?
Nah, man. So full transparency. So I've never met my biological dad.
Okay,
Never met him. But my stepdad was who my dad is. You know,
correct.
he's been
Yeah.
there since I was two,
So that's your
and
dad. That's your dad.
yeah. So he's been. I got his care factor. You know, like he cares about people. That's kind of
Oh, I love it.
I. You know, I want to help everybody, but he's the guy that'll give you the shirt off his back. So I still get that question all the time, right? Even when we're in these different cities, they be like, "Hey, can you sign this card in his hand?" But when you go through that, it doesn't define who you
Who
are,
you are.
right?
Right.
It's how you handle the situations. Like even it always came up, even when I was a player. Bud Black was the manager of the Padres when I was over on the big league side. They were teammates back in the day, and he made a comment. I'm like, "Oh well, yeah, that's my sperm donor," But
Right. 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 Right.
there's
Right. Right. Right.
nothing
Right.
against it because
Correct. Correct.
everybody has their story. Everybody has their journey, right? And I'm very big on vulnerability and teaching people
I
like
like that
no matter what situation that you go through, you have to learn to make the best of your situation,
situation.
right? Not just make the best of it, but grow in your situation.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I'm
I love it.
saying?
I
Because
love
like
it.
we're gonna keep it 100 in our culture.
Correct.
There's a lot of people that grow up without dads. I was fortunate enough to have a stepdad that
Correct.
played dad, right? That he was dad. So what does that look like? The first foundation that I was actually on the board of was above 500. They based out of Miami. When I was in after college, we started doing celebrities softball games, and he does
Okay.
basketball now. But above 500, we related to life, right? We know we related sports. We want to be above 500 no matter what we do,
Correct.
right? It don't matter you win 675. That's a great year, right?
Correct.
So what about the other 400% that you failed?
Right.
As an athlete, we know, hey, if I'm over 500, it's a winning season.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
how to deal with that is you have to figure it out. So what our approach was is no matter what situation you was put in, you can overcome it. I had a daughter at 16. People don't know that either. She's now about to graduate. She's followed my footsteps. She won homecoming queen, right? She's one of the best kids that I've ever had, and like she's perfect, right? I don't have to worry about her. You know what I'm saying? But I've always been there as dad,
Right.
right? But the reason I say that is that's something else that we deal with in our community, right?
That's right.
Babies having babies, but
Yep.
just because that happens, if it wasn't for my stepdad
Correct.
identifying that I had a talent, he
Correct.
wouldn't let me work. He
Correct.
made pretty good money, right? But he was like, your job is school and baseball.
I like it. I like
School
it.
and baseball, right? How many parents gonna support their kids through that?
Not many.
So but that's what we just talked about. Like it's nothing against them. We've had a conversation
Correct.
or two. I'm a grown man now,
Right.
like
Right.
stand up and be a man and
Yeah.
kind of sometimes people are scared of uncomfortable conversations.
Yes. Right. I
So
mean, Ronnie, you said it perfectly because I can fully go in transparency with what you just said because I have a son as well. When I was 19 years old, we don't have a relationship,
yeah,
but I mean, I've tried to reach out to him, and I noticed, like you just said, I said the same thing. I said, you know what? He's grown. I'm grown. He has his feelings, and it's okay. I can deal with whatever. But the key is, have we grown from that situation? Because at the end of the day, he may call me what he want to call me. I'm cool with whatever because I have
yeah,
moved on. And I was a kid. I was a baby having a baby.
yeah.
I was a baby
Yep,
having a baby. But in the same token, I can have full transparency. Say, hey, you know what? I'm not the guy I used to be.
yep,
I'm a totally different guy today than you may think I am, but I'm not.
yep,
But that's the thing that I like about your pedigree, and I'm looking at your information. Basically, leadership is when I look at you. That's bottom
yeah,
line. This
yeah,
baseball, like we talked about, is just a platform. Bottom
yeah,
line, it's a
yeah,
platform. Leadership is what I think about because The one thing about me is I walk by faith. Everything I do is by faith.
Yep.
Everything. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how impossible it is. I just believe that God's given me the capacity to do it. If He gives me the situation, the opportunity, I'm gonna make it happen. Like you, this it's
Yep.
just the,
Yep.
it's just the it factor, and a lot
Yep.
of kids don't have that. They just think, well, Ronnie Richardson got drafted. He got a perfect life. No, it's not. Much is given, much is required. The higher you go, the harder you fall.
Yep.
You got to.
Yep.
It's harder to stay at the top than at the bottom. Because once you stay
Yep.
at the top, everybody's looking at you. So when you
Yep.
fall, you gotta rebound. Which go to the next question. We'll talk about going into college. Let's talk about that. Going to college. Because I looked at your college, I really couldn't get any stats. So I seen some profile things, some great things, but I'm like, man, give me some numbers. You hit 300, I know, quite a few times. You came in and put some impressions on them. You play center field. That means you can fly.
Yep.
You can fly because I played center field as well, but I really like left field better. But it looks like coming from where you came from, and then you went to UCF. How was that transition coming from high school?
Well, you said something, and I'm like, the harder you fall, right? And you said the people had the it factor. I like to say we have to have the it factor, but a lot of my success I credit it to being in survival mode, right? So I was surviving. You feel me? Like
Okay.
at the end of the day, why I was such a good athlete was because of what I went through,
Through.
right? So now when I was on the field, that was easy. That was my
Mm-hmm.
outlet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that literally, I had no remorse for my body 5'7". I was trying to bang them because of this don't matter,
Right.
right? I'm getting the love that I needed through the crowds. But that's
Mm-hmm.
why I was such a competitor, man. Like you do something extremely well, what happens? They cheer.
Right.
That was the love that I thought I needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going into college, what I realized was when I got drafted by the Twins out in the 11th round, it was so disappointing, man, because everybody that I had on my team for Team USA, everybody was getting crazy amounts of money, right?
Okay.
They're telling me I'm supposed to be a top three, top five rounder. I mean, yeah, I'm 5'7". I threw 95, right? I ran a 6'3", right? I'm small, but I wasn't just the guy that can handle the bat. You know what I mean? Like I can drive a ball in the gap, and then for me, I'm thinking I seen a guy in Gainesville, I forgot his name, get like 800,000, and then he just could run. Couldn't hit, couldn't
Right.
throw. He could
Right.
just run.
Right.
And I'm like, why am I not getting the love? Well, I found out that my representation asked for $1.3 million, and that's
Oh.
not what I was asking for. So it
Okay.
puts you in this category of not being signable. The Twins still took me on the chance because they thought, oh, because I had the daughter, that they were going to try to lowball me and I was going to sign just because. Florida didn't recruit me because they was like, this kid's not going to college. But
Right.
they didn't know that I had a great support system between my mom and my stepdad.
Mm.
Like we wasn't chasing no money. I mean, we weren't rich, but
Right.
at the same time, we were not chasing money like that.
I get you.
I knew in my mind, this is when I made the decision. I made a promise to my mom that I want to be the first one in my family to graduate,
Mm.
right? And then I also wanted to make her proud in that perspective because I did it having a baby, right?
Okay.
And then the next part of that was I was spending money before I even had it,
Mm.
right? I was like, well, I don't know what taxes are, but you gonna get a hit with Uncle Sam. You got to give him his. Then I was like, man, I'm gonna buy Escalade, 60, $70,000, right? Then I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that. It was gone before I even had it. They offered me 350. Taxes, you getting probably 225, 250,
Right.
whatever the numbers are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I just bought a 60, $70,000 vehicle, a liability, right?
Right.
And then you have left. You're gonna give mom some, you're gonna give,
Right.
you're broke.
Right.
So I wanted to go and kind of educate myself, which when you sign that contract, man, especially us, when you don't come from having a lot of money, it's I'm swiping. Next thing you know, I'm broke, but I got
Right.
nothing to show for it. So
Right.
we can teach people how to invest, teach people how to have an asset versus a liability. We want the new J's. I was guilty of it, man. I had all the J's, right?
Right. Right.
Thinking that's cool, like. But I'm saying $200, if you go and put it into some type of asset, guess what? Over time that grows, and then you can use the money that you made to buy that, to purchase that.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
But we're not taught that.
Right. You're right.
We're not taught that.
You're right.
So that's why I didn't sign out of high school, which is crazy that I acknowledged that already and I knew what was going to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
I promised my coach if I didn't get 500,000 minimum that I was going to go to school. But when they offered me that 350, I'm looking at my mom like, hey, this sounds real good, But she said, you made that man a promise, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I showed up on campus to get into that. Showed up on campus. They didn't even think I was coming. But Darnell Sweeney was from Miramar. That's my boy. Like, I knew he was going. DJ Hicks, I played with on the Juice,
Okay.
right? Bo Taylor was there from Rockledge. I played with him. So I already had buddies that went to UCF.
Okay.
And then also I knew Marcus Jordan was going to UCF too. I'm like, man, we finna go have a great time.
Right.
Like, this is gonna be college.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what to expect. But when I got there, they literally asked me, they said, hey, Ronnie, you still wanna switch hit? Man, I switch hit one time in one game, just messing around, and the word got out that I was a switch hitter. I did one game. I hit a ball off the fence, one game, and now I'm a switch hitter. I'm like, man, I was just doing that because they told me I could get more money in the draft. But so freshman year, I walked with a lot of confidence. I will say that. So when I stepped on campus, first meeting, they were like, introduce yourself, where you're from, a hobby. I said, I'm Ronnie Richardson from Eagle Lake, Florida. I'm your starting center fielder. Like, I owned it right away. Seniors looking at me crazy, but I already knew what type of talent I had. And I wasn't going there to sit the bench. I was going there to earn all my stripes. So I ended up doing that. My freshman year, after not ever hitting left-handed, I became a switch hitter. So a lot of those stats, this is my first time ever hitting switch hit for the full year. I think my freshman year I hit like 290 something. I didn't hit to switch the whole year. I did half of the year, struggled a little bit, and then I went back righty and still hit 290 something as a freshman.
Wow.
I had a niche for just getting on base, and then the guys that was around me, man, they can bang.
Right.
I didn't try to do it by myself.
Right.
My job was to get on base, let them drive me in, right? So, and then I went to the Cape that summer. When I went to the Cape, I went up there. This is a stat that's nowhere to be found, but this is facts. I won the best defensive player in the whole Cape as an outfielder. Best defensive player in the whole league. We had Janikowski there. We had Colton Wong. It was some dudes that my freshman year. I was an all-star, hit like 270 in the Cape. So I was going back to school because I was a draft eligible sophomore. That's another reason why I ended up going to a 4-year instead of going JUCO route or whatever it may be. So I ended up my sophomore year. I did a little pitching that year too. But I go and I have a pretty decent year, my sophomore year. I'm like, man, I'm finna get drafted high now. I won the best defensive player in the Cape, prestigious league. I was an all-star. I'm like, what else? I'm proving myself, right?
Correct.
So we get to my sophomore year. I had about 310, 350, something like that. Get drafted in the 31st round. I didn't understand it. I literally didn't understand it. So I ended up going back to the Cape again. Then at that point, I was just like, man, I'm about to try to hit left-handed in the Cape. I got to prove that I can do it. I struggled a little bit in that second year in the Cape, but what I learned was the Cape was one of my best memories ever playing ball. These kids don't even want to go play summer ball. But that year, I stopped worried about the draft. I was with my boys. We ended up winning the Cape Cod League that year. Steve English, still coaching there. I still have a relationship with him. Literally, man, that man made me love baseball. It was fun.
Man.
It was fun, right? And the players that was on my team were all dudes. Everybody's good. Right. So we was just with the boys having some summer catch was our summer, by the way. If you've ever seen that movie, that was our summer, which was, we had a good time. Right. So I knew I was going back to school because my brothers that I came into UCF with, we end up getting up to like ranked 7th in the country, I think my sophomore year. And I was like, man, we about to run it back. We about to be the guys that change UCF's baseball legacy. We're going to the College World Series. we were good. We knew we were good. We played with confidence, but it was like me being with my brothers from the
Mm.
training. The freshmen that came in, we brought them in. I always went and picked them up the first day they got to campus. Say, y'all coming out with us.
Mm.
Y'all, come on. This is what we do. This is who we are. You don't got to go crazy, but this is what we do. This is our team. No matter what the coaches say. And now as I'm coaching, I'm like, good players are your best coaches.
Correct. That's right.
Meaning, if I can control the culture, those players in that locker room are going to run that team.
Correct.
They're going to run that team. I don't have to discipline that much if the culture's there.
That's
If
right.
you have those leaders on your in your locker room, so you have to identify those really early. So we ran it back, and man, we was out there beating everybody. We was beating everybody. We beat Florida a couple times that year, Miami a couple times. Oh, I wore Miami out because they were that was my number one pick to go to school. But they didn't offer me because I was playing for Team USA and they wanted me to go to campus. I couldn't get to campus because I was with Team USA. So just tell me. But then Rooney did a great job locking me in. Plus, I had buddies going there,
Right.
and my daughter was an hour away
Right.
instead of
Right. Right. Right.
4 hours.
Yeah, that
But
didn't make any sense.
nah, and then I remember JD having a conversation like, "Why'd you choose UCF?" Well, man, y'all didn't offer me, but I'm a ball no matter where I go. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And yeah, 3 for 4. I mean, I tore Miami up in college, but
Yeah.
that was just my junior year. Was for me. I'm going back with my brothers, and this is adversity hit. Right? I'm supposed to be the man. Supposed to be the man. I show up first month of the season. I'm hitting .048. But one thing that I prided myself on is I'm not gonna let my teammates see me stress. I'm the leader. I'm not gonna be that guy that's,
Right.
oh man, this and that when I'm doing well. I'm gonna be the same guy even when I'm doing bad because I know I'm gonna put in that work in the cage. I'm gonna put in that work, right? So what happened was I struggled and first time really struggling on that left side. Mind you, they bringing in righties to put me on the left side because they know.
Right. Right.
So I ended up breaking down, and when I broke down, the whole team felt it. Right? It was I remember going into the office to Rooney and Godwin was going at the time, and they were like, "You're a guy. You're not coming out of lineup. Listen, here's your stats. Yeah, you don't have many hits, but you've walked this many times. Your on base percentage is still over 400. You still have these RBIs with runners in scoring position. You're still doing team at bats.
Correct. Correct.
You're not coming out of lineup. You're our guy." And I'm like, all right. And then they kept Godwin at Ole Miss calling me, "Don't you give up on left-handed. Don't we put in all this work?" I'm like, Godwin, man, I felt like he was the guy for me. He made me feel like I could do anything. He challenged me in the cages to be better. He's like, "Man, I bet you can't hit 10 line drives in the back of the cage." I understand it now because I got bored in the cage, right? And I'm like, I didn't understand the reps. I didn't understand what I was really doing, fully understanding that. So by him challenging me to a competition, I would beat him. He'd be like, "Yeah," but he got me better, and I didn't even know what he was doing.
Mm.
So I'm like, you got to learn the different techniques, right? So then when I broke down, we're playing, I don't even remember who, but I finally square up a ball because I wasn't making solid contact and I was chasing. When you're slumping, you got to ask yourself two things. Am I swinging at good pitches and I'm making solid contact? If you are, keep doing what you're doing. The balls are going to fall where
Right.
they may, right?
Eventually, it's gonna come around.
Yeah. So I finally square up a ball down first base line. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a triple. First baseman dives, lays it out. They tag me. So I go in the dugout. I'm like, I'm at my breaking point now, right? I'm like, man, okay, whatever. Later in that game, I hit a ball in the gap. Bow! I finally got two at bats. I made solid contact. Center fielder Superman catches it. I'm by second base, and they finally see me break down. I throw my helmet. I ain't here left-handed no more. I'm not doing it. I go in the dugout. Mind you, they've never seen me break down like that.
Oh.
I went into the dugout, walked straight in the bathroom, and I can probably say I was in there doing what I don't encourage. I was beating everything in that thing. That's how I let out my frustration. But when I stepped out of that bathroom, they was like, "Bro, how do you go from being that mad to cheering on your teammate?" That's who I was. I needed that. So after the game, I walk right into the coach's office, say, hey, I'm not hitting left hand no more. I don't care what y'all say about it. And then they was just like, all right. I let everybody leave. I showered up, let everybody leave, went into the cage, put the machines on righty curveballs, and went to banging. Boom, 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 boom. And then we just turned it around, man. Let's just say the end of the year, I think I was like 310, 320, 9 home runs, 20 something, 30 something stolen bases, and I flipped the switch. But if I didn't hit left hand for that month, I like to say I probably hit like 400 in college. But the point of that is like you have to deal with the adversity, man. Like you have to keep your composure. You can't get consumed with results. You have to trust the process. But I knew I didn't want to go back for my senior year, so I felt like that's what I needed to do in order to get back where I needed to be. And thank God I ended up getting drafted. But for our team wise, man, we choked in the Miami Regional to Stony Brook. Remember when everybody
Oh
went to
yeah,
Stony
yeah,
Brook?
yeah. Stony Brook.
They man, we were 2-0. We beat Miami. We beat Missouri Southern. No, we beat Stony Brook. So we beat Missouri State, and then we beat Stony Brook, and then they went on to beat Miami, and then they beat Missouri State. So then they had to beat us twice, and our team was already talking about dog piling. We got too far ahead of ourselves,
Hennessy.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you got to stay where your feet are, take it a game at a time. I even think from the coaching staff, they was already planning for LSU because that would have been the super regional. Don't save pitching. Throw your best guys. You figure it out later. Go throw your dudes right away. That's what I learned from college. You always learn something. So I ended up getting drafted, I think, that night. And me personally, I was so heartbroken because I looked around with my teammates, and a couple of them knew they weren't going to the next level.
Right.
And I cared more about trying to get them another opportunity than what was going on. I knew I was getting drafted. I had a great year. I just didn't know where. But that was just the college days, man.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going back to school in 2017 to finish my degree. So I actually have my degree. I kept my promise to my
Oh,
mom.
thank God, man. That's a blessing,
Yeah.
brother. I mean, I'm listening to you, and I have so many things going through my head because the first thing I think about is process and growth.
Hmm.
Because let's be real, anybody, not just brothers, sisters, whoever, we don't like going through anything. We want everything. That's just natural. It's human nature for us to say, you know what? But I have learned as I got older, kids, lost a house, marriage, been sued. When you start going through so much stuff, you start thinking, okay, God's preparing me for something.
Hmm.
So then when I get to that hard situation, like you said, I heard you. He's like, this is easy because I've
Yeah.
already been prepared for this. But also
Yeah.
something you did say is your mind has to be renewed. You can't
Hmm.
go in there with the same thinking you did when you were 16 versus now I'm 30. You just can't do that. So I was like, listen to you talk, and you start talking about so many different things. I mean, you were just like hitting all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
nuggets. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I can't write down this quick enough. But the key is you said something else: process and growth. Those are
Yeah.
two things I heard more than anything was process and growth. But the problem is this: not in just our society, our culture. That's any society, any culture. Nobody wants to go through the process. I guess because they look at the promise, like you just said, looking ahead.
Hmm.
In baseball, you know, baseball is a game. It changes
Yeah.
in a second.
Yeah.
One pitch can change everything. One pitch, one hit, one error, it changes the whole momentum. And that's the same thing in life. So I said that because I've started thinking about a lot of things you were saying, and I'm like, this guy is like when I think of you, I'm just this is a compliment because I'm a scholar, read my word of God. I think of you as David, David
Yeah.
in the Bible. I said
Yeah.
this guy is like he may not be the tallest guy, but spiritually he's tall as
Yeah.
Goliath. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you look at the situation and you say that situation don't scare me.
Hmm.
I'm equipped. Basically, you're telling yourself, God has already equipped me for this situation,
Yeah.
and that's what I like to honor. And that's why I told everybody this is episode 35. I mean, Ronnie Richardson. I'm telling you, I told you this
Yeah.
guy is going to be awesome today. I'm just telling you, I told you it's going to be awesome. I haven't even got to half of my questions yet, but this
Yeah.
has been 35 minutes of nothing but fun. I'm going to go ahead and hit the next thing. Let's talk about pro. You get drafted.
Hmm.
Now you went through high school, which talked about. I still can't believe you got seventh grade playing high school baseball.
Yeah,
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 seventh grade. You went
yeah.
from seventh grade to eighth grade to play high school baseball. Dominated that. Went to high school. Then you went to UCF.
Hmm.
Dominated that. You know, we all go through situations, Ronnie. You know that. But
Yep,
I'm gonna say
yep.
dominated because at the end of the day, my story is very similar. I mean, I was 0 for 12, 1 for 12.
Yeah,
And my coach said, "You run a 6.360. I need you on base." And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I froze.
yeah,
The situation, I wasn't mature at that time.
yeah,
But after you sit for a while and you start thinking, I'm better than this guy, why
yeah.
am I not doing this? But I had to be sat down so I can learn. You have to learn. Because if you keep going doing the same thing, like chasing your own tail, you're not going to learn anything.
Nope.
You got to learn anything. But which leads me to let's talk about the days of pro ball. Your very first time you went to go play pro ball. You get drafted. You didn't get the money you want.
Hmm.
But what was that transition for you? Because you had like a little, like something on your shoulder, like, man, they didn't pay me my money, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how did that
Hella
feel?
chip, hella chip. Um, yeah, it's funny you talk about that. Whatever situation you go through, man, you gotta keep going. But your experience was you got humbled before it even started, right? But how do you come out of that?
Mm,
At some point in baseball, you will get humbled. It don't matter if it's little league, high school, college, professional ball, you will get humbled.
mm-hmm.
So, how do I deal with it? You know, the pro ball. First off, I showed up not professional, not knowing what I know now. I showed up in some basketball shorts and a tank t-shirt. I didn't know. I walked in the locker room and they did my physical. They actually flew me out to San Diego to do my physical because I had some injury concerns. I had
Okay.
no cartilage in my knee, which I found out that's the reason why I dropped in the draft. But I didn't have no
Okay.
problems with it. But from a perspective, a professional, it was a concern to them. But I passed the physical, signed, and then that first year, man, I had a great year. And me being a team guy, it was a transition that I had to learn that baseball. Now you got guys that speak Spanish, you got guys from different cultures, different. But baseball was kind of segregated then, man. It was weird. You had the urban white guys with the black guys, the urban Latin guys with the black guys. Then you had the country guys over there. Then you had the Dominicans that was kind of scared, still transitioning,
Right.
and that's how people in the locker room was like. It was weird, right? But on that field, man, it was cutthroat. Like I've come from a team atmosphere
Right.
aspect. Pro ball, it's like, man, it's I got to get mine. So I had to adapt to kind of some of that, but also I have leadership qualities. So I'm not an I guy. So I struggled with that my first year because like people are like, you need to be stealing all these bags. Where I'm like, man, that dude can hit a ball in the gap. By me being at first base, being a threat to steal, he's gonna get better pitches to hit.
Right.
So I'm like, nah, let him hit. If he hits the ball in the gap, I'm scoring anyways.
Right.
Where the flip side of that, if I had the mindset like, man, I gotta go get these bags. I'm trying to move up on levels, but I'm thinking every level is a team. Like I'm with these guys. And then the next part of that you got to get used to is one day you got a teammate here, one day you got a teammate here. The next day he's gone, this
Right.
guy's going
Right.
up, this guy don't have a job. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that was the harsh reality. Especially now we got our caps are 165 players from the Florida complex to the to the
Correct.
AAA. We
Correct.
can only have 165 players.
Mm.
What's your separator? What's your separator? So you can't be a bad person. If you're a bad person, you're gonna lose years by playing. Nobody want to be around you. You're gonna keep getting
Right.
traded
Right.
until you're gonna. I mean, some guys are just that talented where they keep going. But
Right.
if you're a bad teammate, man, nobody want to be around you like that. And you're gonna lose years of playing. Where if you're a great teammate, you can buy yourself some
Correct.
extra
That's
years,
true. That's true.
right? And I
Yes.
kind of think by me being such a good teammate and a good person, I think that's why I'm coaching today. If I wasn't like that,
You
I
wouldn't be
wouldn't
there.
have had these
Right.
opportunities. So that was just a little bit about the transition.
Yeah, because I was thinking, because everybody's transition is different going into their first year of minor league baseball. They talk about the rides, how long it was, how did you adapt to that, coming from Florida, I don't know where you played at, but I know it wasn't hot.
Eugene, Oregon, first
Oh,
year, and I loved it. See, that's one thing about me. I was prepped for travel, right? Playing for Team USA.
oh,
We
okay.
traveled. So my first experience of getting able to travel was through Chet Lemon and FTB.
Oh, okay.
The Georgia, we've traveled the states, Arizona, right? And I loved it. And then the next part of that was when I played for Team USA. We went to training camp in Miami at Nova Southeastern. Then we went to Venezuela.
Mm,
Now that was scary. First time seeing a third world country. You get off the plane, they got these ARs on the side of the road. I'm like, man, where we at?
right,
Ducking down,
right.
right? And then I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Australia. I went to play in Australia through like a scout ball team, and then through Pro Youth Foundation.
Oh yeah.
Chip Lawrence
Y'all know Chip. Yes, Chip,
has
good guy.
always been a mentor of mine, always been looking out for me. I played for his program, right? So was probably one of the first PYF members, and
Okay.
he used to take the team from all brothers from Tampa,
Tampa.
and we used to bus up to Atlanta to play in the RBI Brown Jordan
Yeah.
Classic. We did that for a couple years, and then I think my last year playing there, they took a all-star team from this event and flew us out to Cali for to go see the Compton, the Urban Youth
Yeah.
Academy.
No, Reef Academy. Yeah.
So we went out there, and I mean, we from Florida, we're trying to represent, right? So we balling or whatever, and then that team from Cali was already going to Japan. So they
Okay.
seen me, Jamajic Magruder, and Darnell Sweeney play, and they was like, "Hey, we need to take you boys with us to Japan." And my first question was, "How much school I get to miss my senior year?" They was like, "You get
Oh,
to miss like 2.5 weeks." I'm like, "I'm in. Sign me up. Sign me up. Like, let's go." So we got the chance to spend some time. Chris Singleton was on that team.
okay.
Um, who else? You had Trace Thompson. We had some brothers, but it was also being on the team with all those brothers, man, it was like refreshing because you could be yourself. You didn't have to change how you talk, right? That was one of the best experience ever. We all the way across the world.
Yeah.
We're in Japan. Like this is unbelievable, right? So we had that experience, man, and um, so I was well traveled before I even got the pro ball. So when you put me on the bus, I'm like, I'm comfortable. Everybody else is like, man, they uncomfortable because they big.
Right.
Man, I lay on the floor. I was finding a way. But when that 7 o'clock rolled around, let's get it in. Hey, we going to where? Boys, you out of all right, let's go. Get on that
Man.
bus. I
Man.
don't mind the travel. Nowadays they got it easy. They got a mandatory off day Monday. Every league Monday's off day, and I'm like, man, y'all crazy. We used to play 20 some games in a row, maybe
Yeah.
get one off day,
Right.
but yeah, I adjusted pretty good to that.
Yeah. It's because I heard about that too. To get Mondays off, I heard that as well. Because I had a couple other
Um,
people on here as well. They talked about that as well. It's better now than it was before. So
yeah,
basically, give you some rest time, some rest.
yeah.
But most guys aren't really resting. They doing something they shouldn't be doing or whatever. For the
Well,
most
I
part.
hope they're resting, right? Because like, man, playing all these games in a row, man, you got to take care of your body.
Body.
If
Body.
I blame myself and I used to like to go out all the time, so I literally feel like if I would have focused and just picked my spots a little bit better, there's a chance that I may still be would have still been
Would have been
playing
playing. Right.
because I broke down because I'm out late playing every day, out late playing every day, right? But that's where you learn. I was a college player, right? I went to school. This is what we did. But you have to focus on your sleep, your nutrition,
You got it.
because that other guy that's sitting in the locker room next to you is trying to take your job.
That's right.
He's taking care of his body. He's in the cold tub. I hated the cold tub, but I'm like, that's just a mind
That's
thing.
it. Right.
Malik Smith used to have the same routine. He used to get into the cold tub up to here, but he was stealing bases at an unbelievable clip because his legs are fresh. He's taking the process, right? He's doing the steps that he needed to take in order to get his body prepared to play every single day.
Correct. And I want to ask you something. You just said something so powerful. So let me ask you this question. Now that you passed that stage, I'm taking you somewhere else. What is the definition of professional? Being a professional.
So for me, it's a lot of things, right? You're representing that club you're on, the high school you're on, the college you're on. Every single time you step out, you represent your family. Don't do anything that you wouldn't want. to how you could embarrass your family, right? The way you dress, going to and from the ballpark, you need to be professional. And professional be of different things, like a nice T-shirt, right? Learning to dress a certain way because you're getting interviewed every time you're walking into the ballpark.
Amen.
Believe it or
That's it.
not,
That's it.
from the scouting standpoint, from the amateur, from the front office, when you're showing up. So when you show up, you need to make a statement, right? I wear earrings, you see, but going to the ballpark, man, take them things off. Earn the right to wear your earrings in the big
Mm,
leagues. You're not that guy. Earn. You got to go and earn something. This game is not going to give you anything.
nothing.
It's not going to give you anything. And I tell all my guys, look, this game's been around a long time. It's going to go on with or without you.
Without you. That's it.
Until you take pride in that and understand that, don't just play for yourself.
Right.
Play for the people that's coming behind you, right? Because especially us, we can't be average. We
Right.
cannot be average,
Never.
right? So if you understand that you're playing for something bigger than yourself, you're going to ride on your purpose and you're going to go to heights that you've never gone before because you're not doing anything to jeopardize,
Right.
your career.
Correct. I like that because you said, I mean, that's the reason we talked about this off the air, and I told you the reason why the name of this podcast is You Going Pro, and my business name is You Going Pro, and you
Yeah.
you pretty much hit it. That's why I always talk about helping athletes develop proficiency, because people don't understand just because you got drafted don't mean you're a pro yet. They're going by your potential, what you're going to be. They're
Yep.
investing money into you because they
Yep.
believe you have the skills, you have the talent, and the wherewithal to make them. It's a business. This is all business. This is strictly
Yep.
business, and that's why
Yep.
I tell these players here in South Florida, they go to practice. I coach here in South Florida, and I'm telling them, listen, don't come here with no flip flops. Don't come here
Yep.
with no Crocs, and take off
Yep.
the earrings. Now listen,
Yep.
back in the day, before I was a man of God, I used to wear earrings too. I did it all. But
Yep.
I said, on this field, you don't
Yep.
wear that. You can wear it outside the game, like you just said. You said it. I said, don't wear it here. He said, Coach, I said, don't. I don't have to explain anything, because I am the boss, and that's.
Yep.
But I'm teaching them professionalism. And this is, Ronnie. This is for all cultures. This is not
Yep.
just our culture. This is all
Yep.
cultures. They,
Yep.
they come to practice walking like this and taking their time. I'm like, we got practice at 3:15. That means you need to be here at 3 and ready. Don't I'm not waiting on you because we got a routine. And they don't understand that. So that's why I asked you, what is the definition of professionalism?
Yeah. Being on time is big, man. You're not gonna go to your job and late. You're gonna
No,
get fired.
that's
That's the
right.
way you look at it. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of being professional. If it's starting at 3:15,
That's right.
what are you doing? Stretching,
Right.
or
Right.
or you want to start your cage routine. So if you want to start your cage routine, your early what happens to the early work?
They don't
When
know
we
that.
go, when we go up to practice, you have to prepare for the game. This is my favorite analogy, right? You ready for this?
Go ahead.
Practice is your study guide.
Yeah. I like
Practice is your
that.
study guide.
I like it.
So are you gonna go to that classroom without looking at the material that the
Material.
teacher or professor's been going over?
I love that.
You're going to prepare because, and then now the next part of that is, how do you expect to
Study
do
guide.
well on any type of test if you haven't looked at the material? So now
Phew.
related to baseball, related to baseball,
Right.
how are you expecting to go up there and hit this 95, but in the cage you was playing around? It's not going to happen, right? How are you supposed to expect to make that throw from shortstop to first base consistently,
Right.
but you're out there making throws? Or no, let's take it even further. When you started your throwing program, you was out there talking and your arms
That's
not
it.
loose.
That's it. That's it. And you're not
You
loose. Then you say your arm
no,
hurt. My arm hurts.
exactly.
My arm hurts, coach. So
Or you didn't do your arm carry.
that's it. That's it. You're
Yeah,
exactly right. It's funny that we're talking because we're right there, because I'm like, I've watched you. Just because I'm not talking doesn't mean I'm not watching. Because I like to zip it and just watch. So then at
yes,
the end of
sir.
practice, they said, well, coach, Coach Ronnie, my arm hurts. And you're sitting there thinking, oh, really? Hmm. So I said, let's talk about that later. I still got 15 other guys to make sure they're doing their thing. I don't have
Yep.
time. I don't have time to babysit. I don't babysit. I don't babysit anybody.
Yep.
When you get a certain point in your life, if I got to babysit you, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yep.
You're getting the wrong profession. But I had to say that because this has been, man, this is powerful, brother.
Yeah,
You hit me
man.
all. I love it.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy, man, because like that's just the time that we're in, right?
Right, right, right.
They're
That's right.
entitled. They just
That's right.
want things to happen.
That's right.
This thing's not easy. It's
No,
people that came before you that's letting you know, hey, this is the steps you have to
to
take,
take.
right? But you want to go from this one to here.
No,
It don't work like
not that
that.
way. Right.
This is another thing that I go by. Success is a copycat business.
Right. Right.
We talk about growth, right?
Right.
Why am I going to try to figure it out myself when this guy did what I wanted to do?
Correct. Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, what did you do? What was your process?
Correct.
Right? And he tells me his process. Well, maybe this exact drill don't work for me, but I felt something that I didn't feel before. Now I'm gonna take that and use it, and hopefully it brings out the best in me.
Correct.
Right? So you got to take your nuggets here and there, and then you make your own routine.
Correct. Correct. But
You
the
know,
problem is
but
they want you to tell them every single step. They don't want to think.
yep,
But God gave us all the mind, so we got to think on our own. It's called common sense. If
yep,
if you okay, Coach Ronnie is giving you a script to do this. Coach Laurie is telling you to do this. You take a little bit on each one of them, and you
hmm,
just figure it out.
yep,
Because when you get to a certain level, I know they don't want to tell you what to do. You should know what to do. That's why they're paying you. It's a job. They don't get it. They think, well, I'm going to go. Well, I'm going to USF. I'm going to USF or UCF, and this is going to be a cakewalk. No, it's not. It's not a
yeah.
cakewalk.
So the big leaguers need coaching too. If they didn't need coaching,
Right.
we wouldn't have a job.
That's right.
So even at the highest level, they still need coaches. So you have to be humble enough, right, to be able to accept the coaching,
Right.
right? Because we watch your swings every day. We
Every day.
learn how you operate, right? And then it may be a little bit less coaching, but we still coaching. Hey, Randy, well, you missed that fly ball because your
Right.
first step,
Correct.
your
Right.
first
Right.
step was in the wrong direction or
Right.
whatever it may be.
Right.
They still need coaching or just a reminder,
Right.
right? So, but from a coaching standpoint too, their job is to teach me,
Correct. Correct. So
right?
it's a
Give and take.
give and take for both people. We're
Hmm.
both benefiting. We're both being
Yeah,
blessed. No matter how you look at it, that's how I like to look at it because some people
yeah.
say, "Well, you're coaching." I was like, "No, you're helping me, and I'm helping you."
This is a
It's an
partnership.
exchange. It's an
It's a
exchange.
partnership.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a partnership and exchange going on. You give, I give. But
yeah,
unless you give, I can't give it.
yeah,
I can't give unless you give it. But let's talk about your beautiful R2. I like to call it ministry
yeah,
organization. Let's talk about that. You've been doing some great things for the community out there. And tell me, how did this come about? Let's talk about that.
how it came about, we just talked about all of it. So
Oh, okay, okay,
my journey is kind of what formed R2Cares, man. So, like I mentioned earlier about the crowds, right? So that's the type of love that I thought I needed, right? So I was always, but when I got released from San Diego, I felt like my world came crashing down,
right, right,
right? The same people that was recruiting me didn't answer the phone. These agents didn't answer the phone, so I felt alone,
correct,
right? So I went through this depressed state, not knowing like who am I good enough, man. What's next? I didn't know, so I was lost. So that led me to coaching, and I've been coaching now since 2017. I've had a pretty good career. I started at the JUCO, even at UCF. Greg Lovelady, I'm gonna say this name probably the first time on record that I've said this. When I went through and got released, right? I was in Joplin, Missouri, in Indy ball,
okay,
and I ended up getting hurt. I tore my abductor, right? And I was battling myself, man. Mentally, I was gone. The first time that I got released by San Diego, I got released in Evansville a month later in Indy ball, and I thought I was too good to be in Indy ball. Like they asked me, "Hey, how's it like playing affiliate?" I'm like, "Man, I'm here now. I don't care
right,
about that."
right,
Mentally, I was gone. I was cussing out umpires, that's never been me. I just had a bad attitude. Got released again from, like I said, Evansville Otters. And then I end up signing with Grand Prairie Airhogs.
Okay.
A guy by the name of Victor Diaz. He saw me play 2 games. Pulls me to the side. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "What am I doing here?" Like, I got released. He's like, "I played in the big leagues. I'm 35 now. I'm playing it because it's fun for me. I made my money." He goes, "I play with guys like you. You can get to the big leagues. It's just your mind's going. You're mentally messed up." And that day, it was like a pivot moment for me. My mind opened up. I was like, you know what? I gotta have fun. I can't regret playing ball. I can't be mad and spiteful to everybody. I need to do what I need to do in order to get back. So
Right.
that kind of was a pivot for me in my playing career. But when I got hurt again, that kind of hit me again. I'm at a low again, right? So I'm debating if I'm gonna go back to school. This is mine why 17 happened, right?
Right.
Go back to school. I'm a coach. So I called UCF Rooney at the time. He ends up leaving, going to Alabama. So he's like, "I'm gonna make a call to Love Lady." This man looked me in my face and said, "We're changing the culture here."
Oh.
To alumni that I was in school, enrolled as a student, meaning you could get an extra coach on your staff for free. This is
Free.
before what happens
Right.
right now.
Right. Right.
He wouldn't let me on the field to coach the players, but they put me in the weight room to help in the strength and conditioning. So, but I took that kind of personal because I'm like, man, I'm on the wall here. Like, I got drafted here. Like,
Right.
we're arguably one of the best teams in the history there right now. But you're telling me you're changing the culture because you have other guys on staff? And I'm like, yes, I played here, but just because I play for a coach that you don't agree with everything he done, I'm coachable. Coach me, right? They do it for other people. Let's just put it that way.
Right. 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 Right.
They get their starts there, right? So I ended up going to Seminole, and that was my first year coaching.
JUCO. JUCO. Right.
Yeah, JUCO, first year coaching there, and then I didn't agree with. It wasn't a lot of discipline there, and I'm like, man, like I look again. I wear don't show up
Right.
to the field, don't show up late. The kids are already thinking they're better than what they are, right?
Correct.
But
Correct.
I'm a realist. I'm gonna tell you exactly the truth. So I end up going to summer ball, and then starting to coach in summer ball, college summer ball. Learned a lot. Andrew Fabian, thanks for the opportunity. But I end up going after that. Basically, long story short, my journey and kind of everything that I dealt with, the line agents, the line coaches, I knew I wasn't going to be there. You're always learning. You can take something positive or bad from everybody,
Okay. That's right.
right?
Right.
So the way I look at it is I told myself I will not lie to these kids. I'm going to give them the truth. I called myself a bad but great recruiter. My first signing was Taj Bradley. He's a big leaguer, right?
Yeah.
And I told him, you can sign to a JUCO and a Division One. People don't tell you that.
Right.
You can do that. I say, Taj, I know your grades. You're not getting to South Carolina, but somebody convinced you needed a bigger school. We have to educate everybody around to know what's legal and
What's
what's
the
not.
real deal? All right. What's the real deal?
Like, and I looked down like, dude, Taj, you're throwing 95 right now. You're not going to school. And if you do you want to be stuck for 3 years or do
Right.
you want to
Right. Right. Right.
come do one and try to get your money?
Correct.
Taj called me on draft day. He's like, Coach, I think I'm going to sign. Said, you should have signed yesterday. Why are you calling me? They just offered me life-changing money. But that was just who I was, right?
Right.
So starting R2Cares, man, because, like, again, I didn't grow up with my biological dad. I didn't. I had a daughter young, right? But I knew I persevered, right? No matter what situation I was dealt with, I always came out on top. I went back to get my degree. It was always a lot of rejection, right? I thought I wasn't good enough, but all these accolades say something completely different.
Correct. Correct.
So I use that as strength to try to go and help other people,
Correct.
right? So now I don't want these players to go through not knowing, but we have to open up our hearts, open up our minds to listening because when you're going through it, like I told my emerging leaders, I said, a lot of you guys are popular right now. Your NIL is crazy, but they're not educating people how to use the money.
That's it, brother.
You're
That's
getting
it.
taxed on that
That's
NIL
right.
money.
That's right. And
How do
believe
you,
me, the IRS gonna come get their money.
yes, what's the tax code? How do you, I got a partner right now that can zero out the taxes. right? But we're trying to put the program together so we can offer it to teach people how to make money. Let this money make you money, not
Right,
go and
right.
spend it on the
Spend it.
new J's
And you have
or
nothing to
the
show for it.
Balenciagas or the Versace. Like, that's what they want us to do. So until we get people that believe in that, I can't make you do it, but you're gonna make your own decision. Like I told these guys, you're popular. Everybody's gonna come at you. Who's gonna be there when you fall?
That's right, bro.
Who's
You
gonna
hit
be there?
man.
So
This is good. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so that's what started the program, man. And then I was battling some stuff with my daughter's mom, which it is what it is. I didn't agree with a lot. We had a
Right.
disagreement, right? So now what happened was I ended up going to through the race the mental health certification course,
Oh, I like that. I
and
like it.
it was optional, right? I chose to sit in there. And then as I'm sitting in there, they made us tap into our vulnerability, right? And then I'm looking at people to my left and right that I've worked with that I thought I knew. A couple of them broke down.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I thought I was the only one battling something at the house, right?
Right.
I'm like, man, we got to start asking better questions. We walk by each other every day. Hey, how's it going? Good. And you never stop your feet. But why can't we be open and honest? If I know that person, hey man, I'm not doing very good today, right? I got something going on at the house, but we're going to get through it. But this is just how I'm feeling.
Right.
And
Right.
that response can be like, man, is there anything that I can do to
Dude,
help you?
that's it, brother. That's
Like that's the type of person I am. I want to help people, but like if you don't know and you're battling in silence, what happens? You lead to a deeper state of depression.
that's right, bro. And that's the place where the enemy wants to kill you, kill, steal, and destroy you. And I would say something. You said something was so powerful. I started thinking about what you just said. You said basically share your testimony with people
You have
because
to.
you don't know what that person next to you is going through. And I've been very guilty of this, extremely guilty of this. My wife's telling me this all the time. She said, "Baby, you're a podcaster, you train kids, you coach, you're a hustler, you're baseball, da 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 da." She said, "But nobody knows your story." And I started thinking, I was like, in your back of your head, like, who wants, you start thinking, who
You're
wants to know
like,
Ronnie?
no, the thing is, you know what that is? We're all guilty of it. There's a couple words: embarrassed. You think people don't care, right? And then you think you're alone.
Yeah.
You're like, nah, they don't need to know my story. Nah, they don't need to know.
You're right.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had to say that.
Yeah.
But now, once you tap into your vulnerability and realize you're not alone, what happens?
It expands. Everybody attracts to you.
People pour
People
love into
to you.
you that it comes from ways that you didn't even know it's going to
Right.
come. And that's kind of what happened with R2Cares,
I like it.
right? I took that mental health certification aid course. My executive director was one of the teachers.
Mm.
And we just stayed after and just had a conversation. And he asked me the same thing. Why don't you tell your story?
Story.
You're
That's right.
powerful, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, man, I don't know. What's stopping you? Well, it costs this to start a foundation. Like,
Da
I
da
want my
da.
programs to be free. What's stopping you? I'm like, man, that money thing, like, I ain't got it right now. I just don't.
Right.
So he took a trip up to Charleston because his son had a tournament, and he took us fishing. I was like, hey, man, I had started the brand already, but I'm like, he asked me, you want to go fishing? Yeah, can I bring my camera people? So we went out there, we chopped it up, got some content. He said, Ronnie, what's stopping you? How do you scale this? What do you do this? Da, da, da. He's like, man, you have to tell your story. You have to do it. What programs do you want to run? Well, I know the first one, I care about tapping into your vulnerability because at the end of the day, I know what I went through. And the way that I keep my composure, I know there's other people out there that can't handle that pressure like I can.
Correct. 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 Correct.
But if I can teach people how you're not alone, man, we're gonna open up to
Yeah.
so many possibilities. There's people that get into this state and then they don't come up out of it.
That's right.
Suicide's very
That's
high,
right. That's right. You're right,
very
brother.
high,
You're right. Hey,
right?
brother, you
And
hit.
then
That's perfect. You said it perfect, Ronnie. Because I'm being very transparent. I have learned the hard way.
yep,
I'm like, wait a minute. You telling me, like me and you talked earlier, right?
yep,
Some stuff I shared with you, people don't even know. And
yep,
I'm like, so like I said, I'm a spiritual man, God said, "Why don't you
Yeah.
share your story? Why you afraid? You ashamed of it?" And I started thinking, no. The key was I don't think nobody wants to hear it. That's the problem. I don't think nobody wants to hear it. But then I interviewed another guy that played Major League Baseball named Steve Springer.
Yep.
Had a very short stint with the Mets, and I interviewed him, and he said the same thing to me. He said, Coach Seville. He said, Seville. After the podcast was over, he said, "You need to tell your story." Cause I told him just a little bit. He's like, "Whoa, your story is just as big as any Major League Baseball player. I just haven't shared it."
Yep.
And he said, "I guarantee you share your story, it's gonna open up a can of worms. People are gonna be attracted to you, da 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 da." And I'm getting through that. But R2Cares, I'm gonna connect with you. I'm gonna do what I can to help
Yep.
you on my end as well.
For sure.
You talked about NIL stuff. I do
Yeah.
NIL stuff as
Yep.
well. People don't
Yep.
know that, but I'm sharing that with you. I do NIL stuff with colleges right now. I'm connected with one school. I don't want to say his name on the air, but we're getting ready to work some huge stuff on the baseball program, and I can share that with
Yep.
you later
Yeah.
off the
Yeah. Yeah.
air. But basically, I'm going to be teaching financial
Literacy.
literacy
Yep.
and foundational principles. Because at
Yep.
the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world. Because I was a prodigy of that. I mean, like I told you, I had a mortgage company. And I made a lot of loot, a lot, and
Yep.
I had nothing to show for it,
Yep.
nothing. But
Yep.
I have learned something from that. And so, like I told you before, I rebuilt my credit. I know
Hmm.
how to invest. I know what to
Hmm.
pull in, what to pull out, and I know when to do it. It's not just doing it; it's when to do it. And you
Yep.
got to know how to, do certain things. But I mean, R2Cares is something that I'm all for. It. I've seen some videos on Facebook. But if you would
Yeah.
go ahead and send out a shout, if you could tell the listeners how to contact you for your program.
Yeah. So Instagram, we got R2Cares, right? On Facebook as well, and R2Cares.org is the website. Man, it goes a lot deeper than that too, because it's about building vulnerability. We offer that mental health certification course through our foundation, right? We also have Team Up Mental that it's okay to be vulnerable, man. Use that as a strength, not a weakness, right? Through baseball, we're doing the one camp in the emerging leaders game, right? But I'm also taking the community and being like, okay, if this kid comes up from Miami, but you have your facility down there, if he's an emerging leader and he opens his mind up to grow,
Right.
we have to put you in our program. But from the one time a month or whichever like life skill development that we're doing at that time,
Right.
we want you to be a part of this. And if to credit them, we want them to be able to. I say, hey, Coach Seville, I
Right.
got this kid. I'm gonna pay for 2 lessons of his.
Right.
Now it puts money back into the family's pocket
Correct.
through. This is all community based. Like we want to raise capital for this. Like this is helping families get a little bit more money in their pocket,
Correct.
but also this kid's getting developed not just from the baseball side, from a development side, life skill side.
Life skill.
But we're going to multiple sports with this. It's not just
Mm,
baseball.
I
I
like
don't want to just pigeonhole and go,
it.
this is sports.
I
And then
like it.
eventually what we want to happen is hopefully families get more time at home to cook a meal that they normally don't have.
That's right.
And guess what? Maybe they sit down at the dinner table
Come on now.
and these families are starting to have conversations.
Come on.
We have to normalize communicating with our kids, communicating with our parents. It goes better. My mom was one of the people that went through the certification. That was such my mom and my niece.
Wow.
So it was such a proud thing for me because I had to have conversations with my mom like, you're not perfect.
Right.
I don't think you're perfect.
Right.
Nobody's perfect.
Right.
But the way we handle adversity and going forward to grow, how do we grow from here? I turned out to be a pretty good dude. And that's credit to you. Your past is your past. Everybody has their
Has one.
story.
That's right. Everybody.
Tell your story. Embrace your story. That's what makes you who you are. My
Man.
mom was the youngest of 13, right? But she's probably one of the most successful out of that bunch because for whatever reasons. My stepdad, right? Well, my dad, I'm not going to say my dad.
Right.
This dude wants to take care of everybody. But until I bought my house, I tried to get them to move into my neighborhood just so I can go drop my daughter off if I had to go somewhere,
Right.
so they can go to grandparents' house. But their price points kept going up and up and up, and I'm like, man, what is this dude do? I had no idea. But when you have people that know you're not going to tell people no, when they're around you, you're going to stay in that place. And proud moments for me when he walked into their new house and he got his man cave up there, you knew that was his sanctuary.
Right.
The
Right.
smile on his face got me fired up.
Correct.
So anytime that, because I'm growing, I'm learning a lot of stuff on my own, but like, well, I'm not gonna say on my own, through the community that I meet and people. I'm like, hey man, what do you do? Oh, you have this? Oh, that car is nice. Well, did you know if you got a car that's 6,000 pounds and over, you can put it on your
Right.
LLC?
That's right. Right.
I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
huh? How do
Right.
you do that? Now, man, it's so many tricks, but you have to be open minded
Right.
to learning this stuff, man. And
Right.
through our
Right.
organization, R2Cares, this is what we want to teach. We want people to be able to learn something. We want to be able to help people put more money back in their pocket, right? We want to teach them how to invest. We want to teach them how to buy real estate. But most importantly, use the situation, baseball, sport, whatever you're good at, to leverage that. Get your college paid for,
That's right.
right? Get the NIL money to make you money.
That's right.
Like I had a story about a kid stole 100 something bases this year. If you know anything about Major League Baseball, everybody knows who that is.
Right. Right.
Hey man, when you stole that 100th bag, you should have had a drop of T-shirts with that logo on there. Yeah, it's 100th bag. You sell it for $100. These are
$100.
exclusives.
That's right.
Guess what? You just made $50,000.
Quick.
Guess what? Now you have your LLC. It goes deeper than that. You have your LLC, right? What happens? My mom's gonna run this. You just gave your mom a job.
That's right.
She's not gonna do you wrong,
Right.
right? Oh, your sister, she's in college. Now all Christmas gifts, you take it out of that.
Right.
You write it off.
That's right.
You write it off. Now the money that you're making from your salary, you can invest.
Right. Yeah.
That's leveraging,
That's
right? But they don't talk about this. We
That's right.
don't know how to do that. So, I mean, that's what our foundation is about, man. Just opening up people's eyes and just making them aware. Because again, we all have our story, but if you don't know, you don't know.
That's right.
It's okay to not
That's right.
know.
That's right.
It's okay to not know. If you ask me a question I don't know the answer to, you know what I'm saying? Man, I don't know the answer to
Right.
that, but I'm
But I'm
gonna
gonna
go
try to
figure it
figure it
out
out and get it
and I'm
back
gonna
to
come
you.
back to you.
To you. Right. Right. Right.
I'm not gonna try to make up something
That's right.
because one thing about people, they understand when you're genuine or not,
Right.
and they can tell when you're trying to make something up.
Yeah. You're right.
It's
You're right.
okay to not know the answer to something.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's really what started R2Cares, man. And I get passionate talking about it because it's so new. Even though we're upside down right now, I'm like, we're living in our purpose. We're doing this thing with the pure heart, right? And we're helping multiple people. Those kids that sat in there, man, Chris Singleton spoke. Do you know his story?
No, but I know Chris Singleton for sure.
Not the one that was in the big
Are
leagues.
you talking about the producer?
No, 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 no. Chris Singleton, he's actually from Charleston, South Carolina. He played some pro ball as well.
Okay.
Inky Johnson is his mentor. Et is his mentor, but his story. This is one of the people that spoke at our event. It was the
Okay.
most powerful thing that I've heard probably in my lifetime. So everybody remembers 2015 Charleston shooting, right?
Okay.
His mom got murdered in that. So he went on E60 to talk about he forgive his mother's killer. Why did he do that? He goes, this man wanted to start a race war. I wasn't going to allow him to win. So that's why I forgave my mom's killer. But then his story gets even crazy. That was his freshman year of college. His junior year, his dad passes away. Now he's
Okay.
taking care of his brother and sister, and his wife right now currently gets pregnant. This is a young man in college just trying to make a way. More even powerful, he was able to navigate that space. He was able to still get drafted. So I'm sitting there as he's talking like, man, this dude
Right.
right here, and we thought we had it hard.
Right. Right. Right.
Somebody always has it worse than you. But when you put it in perspective of how to turn a tragedy into something so powerful, that's when you grow as a person. That's
That's
when
right.
you can grow with and help people around you grow.
Right.
He elevated himself by doing that,
Mm.
right? He goes around speaking 155 times a year. And he was one of our keynote speakers this year. And when I'm watching these kids in the audience hear his story, and you can just see them like they felt what we were talking about.
Right. Right. It's
And
genuine.
then you had Chip Lawrence talking about opportunities in the game. When Chip goes out, you know him.
Right.
He just he's like a fly on the wall, but people don't realize his
Realize who he is.
title.
Right. Right. I
He's
don't
the
realize who he
special
is.
assistant to GM, the global cross checker for the Detroit Tigers. And everybody just thinks Pro Youth Foundation is just
Right.
another organization helping my. No, it's a lot deeper than that. That dude's creating opportunities for our kids that they probably would never even have.
Right.
His programs are cheap. They're very affordable, right? So we have to support each other's organizations. Florida Shine, like what they have going on down there,
Right.
that's great because we're all going through our journeys. Everybody's telling our stories, but we have to be able to collaborate,
Correct.
work together, right?
Right.
Antoine, man, I'm so proud of this one because Antoine Brown from like Daytona area,
Okay.
we had great conversations. Like, man, I needed this. He pulled up to the event and he was energized again. He was like, man, I needed this. I needed this because he wanted to give up on baseball. I said, no, we don't need you to give up on baseball. You can take a second, but
Right.
your
Right.
story is worth telling. Your story is worth telling, right? How do you use that? You
That's
don't
right.
have to go work for a major league team to impact people,
That's right.
right?
That's right. You're right.
That's why that's R2Cares, man. Man, Denard Span pulled up to our event. Denard Span played 13, 15 years in the big leagues. And when I told him what I was doing, and he said, I'm there. I'm there. If you look on the R2Cares Instagram page, I get chills talking about it because when I talked to him, I was like, hey, man, can you send me a video saying you'll be there? Da, da, da. He's in the booth in Kauffman Stadium getting ready to go on TV. He took the time out of his day, which I'm forever grateful for, to say, hey, man, this is Denard Span and Kauffman Stadium. He didn't say where it's at. But he's like, Denard
Right.
Span, I'm
Right.
looking forward to R2Cares weekend, life skill development to come and spend time with you guys. But the
Right on.
backdrop is the stadium in Kansas City. And I'm like, man, I got Denard Span in here. Like, this is crazy. But what makes it even better was Denard Span was a special assistant for the Rays at some point, right? And nobody knew that. But we're having great conversation, and then some things happen, right? But I'm calling D like, man, you have to go to the Buck O'Neill. We need you in the game. He's like, man, I don't need this job. D, dog, I love you, brother, but we need you in this game at some capacity. We need you. And I put a different perspective on it because, again, if it was about him, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows it's a bigger picture. Impact that he did,
Yeah.
spring training. He's a special assistant. Every brother in the organization, no matter what level they was at, every coach, D would take us to the steakhouse just so we can have time together to like just be ourselves.
Right. Right. Right.
That meant so much to me and all the other guys. Hey man, it's gonna be times when y'all feel lonely. Depend on each other, create this community, be able to talk to each other. This is stuff that's done behind the scenes that people don't see. So that's the type of connection and collaboration that we're trying to do with R2Cares, man. And I ain't gonna lie, it hasn't been easy.
Hey. But
But again, this whole time we've been talking about, man, there's people that's been built on survival and they have survival instincts.
but hey, you've hit it. I mean, you've said a lot, brother. I mean, I was gonna let you close it out, but hey, I've got two more questions for you. And one of the questions is at the end of every show, I always ask these two questions. Now you got to think as a player now, not as a coach. Share with the audience, the listeners, a play of the day, an ESPN moment that nobody knows about that you want to share in all of your career.
Oh man. Well, it's quite a few of them, man. But I'll just tell one just from being a competitor.
Okay.
So we're playing at Florida, the number one team in the country. Um, we're down by two.
Okay.
our coach tells me, hey, man, if we take the lead, you're closing this thing out. Well, Florida's old field bullpen was in center field. I'm getting ready to come up the hit. I can't go to the pen.
Right. Right.
I go down to just right field line, got the softball girls out there. I'm just landing it each. I didn't throw no off speed at all. I'm just landing it each. We take the lead at Florida, and I'm like, getting ready to come with the hit. I'm not even thinking about my at. I'm like, I'm going in the pitch. Well, mind you, Jonathan Piggott's coming up.
Okay.
Preston Tucker's coming up. Mike Zunino's coming up, which was arguably the best hitter in
Yes.
college
Right.
baseball
At that
in a
time.
long time.
Right.
Well, I played with Piggott with the juice. I knew his weaknesses, right?
Right.
I went fastball, slider. See you later. Preston Tucker, I'm like, man, this dude, he banged. He hit a fly ball to right field. We called it at the track. And then I got Zunino. Zunino, I'm like, man, this dude, he's going to be about him. So we end up working the count to 3-2. I don't know what to throw him. I'm like, they throwing out all the signs, slider. Because I had a little fear. I ain't going to lie. I had a little fear from my curveball because it was good, but I had to get me over one.
Right.
And there was this kid named Schaefer from Tulane. That was the only home run I gave up in college, and I think it's still going to this day. So as I'm got Zunino in the box, I'm shaking off a breaking ball, shaking off a slider, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do. I shook off a fastball, so the catcher don't know.
Like, what are you gonna do?
And then I go, in my mind, this is me understanding who I was. I go, if he hits me out, it's a tie game for one, and then if he hits me out, it's not gonna be on my secondary pitch. It's gonna be my best fastball he gonna get. So I ended up throwing a heater up here, around here. He swings through it. I turn to the dugout, pounding the chest like, this is my field. I said some other things I can't say on there. This is my field. So that was probably one of the highlights from the pitching mound there. I get a text from my buddy Carson Winston from Bartow. He's like, bro, that was sick. Sully's mad as he's like, man, you got a guy that don't even pitch all the time come in and close out this game and pump his chest on your field. So I got that inside, like, well, they should have recruited me. So that was one of the highlight moments. I mean, there's quite a few, but that's one of the ones from the defensive side.
That was good. That's pretty good news. I mean, this is episode 35. Very own Ronnie Richardson. He's with the Rays organization. He's a AA coach, and he has an awesome organization, R2Cares. I want you guys to check him out on Instagram, check him out on Facebook. But also, one last question before I close out. This is called the post game. You know, every time we coaches, we have a post game.
Yep.
We evaluate everything. So this is a post game, and this is going to take you out of your rim. You only have 30 minutes. Even though it's baseball, you only have 30 minutes. And I want you to think of a player that you would like to play with, you never played with, or someone you wish you played with, and what would you say to them?
Oh, wow. 30 minutes to...
Because basically he's gonna go back to heaven, whatever. You ain't got much time. He's only giving you 30 minutes. It's a moment. Who is this player and why?
It's too. Oh man, that's crazy. I got too many of those.
Give me two. Just give me two.
Well, Carl Crawford was one of my favorites, man, because he gave me some hope. Him and Joey Gathright was ones that, because I was a Rays fan growing up.
Okay.
I seen them play the same type of profile, and they just played reckless. And then you got to go with King Griffey, even though I got an opportunity to meet him already. I still would like to spend more time with him, man. Like, the kid had the sweetest swing in the game, you know? And I think those two guys, will be who I would want to spend some time with.
What would you say to him? What would you ask him?
I can't tell you what I told Carl Crawford, but I was starstruck. Because this is when I was with the Padres. We were playing the Dodgers, and he's playing on the backfield. And he's running off the field. I didn't know what to say to him, so I said something I probably shouldn't have, but then he had to look at my last name on my jersey because I don't think he thought I was black. He thought I was Dominican. But I don't know. Him and Griffey, man, I'll ask him their routine. Yeah. How did you prepare, right? Like, what are some of the things that you struggle with or that you wish you have known later in your career?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So just
good.
keep
That's
it simple.
yeah, I like that because you were younger then. You wouldn't never know what to ask him at that. You'd be
Yeah.
starstruck. Like, wait a minute, I don't know.
Well, I was with Griff. Yeah, man, it was crazy. That's crazy. Still to this day. Still to this day, those guys, man, when you get around people like that, ask questions
Yeah,
because
yeah.
an opportunity will pass you by.
Bye. You'll never get it again. You'll be like,
Never get it
man.
again.
So and also I realize as the older I get, there's always the answer in the room. If you're
Yep.
with a group of people, there's something I've learned. Church, work, baseball, everything that you need is in the room. You just
Yep.
got to get out of your own mind. With that being said, I sit back and I tell everybody that listens to the podcast each and every day, it's episode 35. I ask the question, Ronnie, check this out. The question is, where are you being led? LED. Where are you being led?
Hmm.
Coach Ronnie, just give you all kinds of information. So my question is, if you think about everything he said, he's giving you powerful information. He's giving you so much that you can elevate to the next level in
Yep.
life and also in baseball. So, Coach Laurie, what's that? What's the L stand for? L stands for listen.
Hmm.
That's something that we don't like to do as people. We just don't like to
Hmm.
listen. We want to be the first to talk and the last to talk. But as I said before, I'm a man of faith, and the book says faith comes by hearing. You got to hear something over and over and over and over and over, because once you hear it, it's in you. It becomes you.
Yep.
So L stands for listen. The next letter is E, Ronnie. Check this out. What does E stand for, Coach Laurie? I'm glad you asked that. E stands for execute on everything you just listened to.
Hmm.
Easy. I mean, this is simple. This is what I do every week. Execute. Because if you execute what you listen to, God will give you the provision to dominate. The D
Yep.
stands for dominate. LED. This is Coach Laurie, very own episode 35, very own Ronnie Richardson. It's with R2Cares, baby. Make
Yeah.
sure you
RT.
check him out. Check him out. This has been a blast. Hey, I appreciate it, man. You guys have a great season this year with your team up in Montgomery Biscuits as well. And Ronnie, you can go ahead and say one quick thing if you want to give out a shout for your information real quick before I close it out.
Yeah, it's R, the number two, then cares.org. But also, man, I just wanted to comment get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Ooh, I like it.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. We hear that all the time, but what does that really mean? Don't be afraid to make a mistake and open your mind to growth. That's
Mm,
it.
I like it.
Continue to grow, continue to learn, and be coachable. Because at the end of the day, we're not perfect. Success is a copycat business. I say it all the time.
I like it.
But tap into your vulnerability, man. And I hope everybody that's listening, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. This
Yeah,
was actually my first official podcast, and we've been wanting to do it, but the opportunity presented itself.
that's good.
Now,
Okay.
we're going to take it and run with it, but tap into your vulnerability because
All right.
you're truly not alone, man. We all have a story.
That's right. All right.
It's not the end of the day. I'm not end of the world, sorry, but
Right.
it's what makes you who you
Right.
are.
Right.
Continue to grow, continue growing.
And also, one last thing, I'm gonna back you up. Success leaves clues.
Yep.
Bottom line, if
Yep.
if he's successful, don't try to change it. Go with what he says.
Yep.
Try it out. Deviate. Use a little more common sense, and
Yep.
trust me, God will make a way for you. Hey, this is Coach Laurie, very own, and Ronnie Richardson. I appreciate it. God bless, brother. I'm out.
Appreciate it.
You
Thank you
got it.
guys.
You're welcome.